Good evening, ma'am. I am Kenneth Imagbato, and this evening, I will be sharing to you my short interpretation of the concept underlying the brutal loss in fairy tales, which is a portion of The Women Who Ran with the Wolves, a book that tackles a lot of myths and stories of the wild woman archetype. As I was reading this portion of the book, I have come to realize why there are such brutal episodes in fairy tales, a very inevitable occurrence or phenomenon in mythos and folklore. What makes this portion of the book quite interesting is its multiple usage of figures of speech, such as metaphors that help me slightly understand the psychic truth that brutal motif exudes. But before we tackle that one, I'd like to focus more on the concept encompassing these lines. Though we would never wish the poisonous red shoes and a subsequent decrease of life onto ourselves or others, there is in its fiery and destructive center a something that fuses fierceness to wisdom in the woman who has danced the cursed dance, who has lost herself and her creative life, who has driven herself to a hell, a cheap or expensive handbasket, and yet who has somehow held to a word, a thought, an idea until she could escape her demon through a crack in time and live to tell about it. For me, since we are dealing with woman archetype, and if we refer it as well with the title of the book, I think that women are also experiencing the connotation of the term brutal in fairy tales. We have to remember that the brutal motif in an ancient perspective is a way of causing the emotive self to pay attention to a very serious message. The connotation that the poisonous red shoes implies is somehow similar to that of the path that women have to deal with, or the situation they are currently into that is perhaps causing them to feel like they're lost and helpless. Although these unwanted events are seemingly brutal and tormenting in its nature, we have to understand that there is growth brought by these certain distractions. There is undeniably learning in that process. As the line suggests, hitting bottom, while extremely painful, is also the sowing ground. This portion of the book is quite interesting because it seems to be tackling the metaphysical domain or aspect of women's existence, along with their struggles in fighting their demons that we oftentimes neglect to think of, similar to the connotation underlying the statement, lost of brutal in fairy tales. That would be all. Thank you.